Welcome to Africa Good Morning, your portal into Africa's potent stories. Today we begin in Namibia, where the country will elect regional and local authority councillors on 26 November. We then turn to Tanzania, where a CNN investigation uncovers disturbing allegations following its disputed election. In Guinea-Bissau, vote counting is underway in a tense and closely watched race. The Gambia confirms hosting Cameroon's opposition figure after violent unrest, while South Africa grapples with new allegations involving the Zuma family, the sisters to be exact. We also bring you Talent Core Zimbabwe report and essential AGM economic news. Watch AGM on DSTV 285, GoTV 25, ntvafrica.my.na and NTV Africa on YouTube. My name is Ashwin Berry. Top story shortly. Namibia is set to hold its regional councils and local authority elections on 26 November, marking the conclusion of the 5-year electoral cycle. In the regional councils elections, citizens vote for representatives known as regional councillors who act as the link between central government and local communities and spearhead development within their constituencies. The country's 14 regions comprise 121 constituencies, and elections are conducted under a first-past-the-post system, where candidates with the highest votes secure victory. Elected regional councillors also select 3 members from each region to serve in the 42-member National Council. Simultaneously, local authority elections take place across Namibia's 59 municipalities, town councils and village councils. These elections follow a proportional representation system, with seats allocated based on the number of votes each political party, organization or association receives. Now, registered voters cast ballots for their preferred parties in their respective local authority areas, which then appoint councillors to serve 5-year terms. Local authority councillors are responsible for maintaining, developing and providing services to their communities, ensuring that residents' needs are addressed at the municipal, town or village level. Keeping in mind, we will be bringing you Election Watch as Namibia Decides 2025. That's the hashtag. We will this evening show you our pre-election show, which will flight just after Sunset News. This is going to be at 8 p.m. And then tomorrow throughout the day, we're going to be having election coverage as Namibia Decides 2025. Now, an exclusive CNN investigation has detailed how Tanzanian police allegedly used live ammunition on protesters and may have buried victims in unmarked graves after the disputed 29 October presidential election, in which President Samia Suluhu Hassan secured 98%. The probe, using satellite imagery, geolocated videos, audio analysis and eyewitness accounts, documents killings following protests triggered by the barring of multiple opposition rivals. Authorities imposed a curfew and an internet blackout, later restricting image sharing. While officials initially denied fatalities, President Suluhu recently acknowledged casualties and announced a commission of inquiry. Verified footage shows overcrowded morgues in Mwanza and Dar es Salaam as witnesses recount treating gunshot victims. Videos from Arusha appear to show protesters shot, including a pregnant woman. Drone footage shows armed men firing in civilian areas, some in plain clothes beside the uniformed officers. Now, satellite imagery of Kondo Cemetery indicates disturbed soil consistent with recent burials, with rights groups fearing mass graves. The UN Human Rights Office has suggested hundreds may have been killed, urging an independent investigation as families and rights groups seek transparency. Vote counting is underway in Guinea-Bissau after citizens cast ballots for presidential and legislative seats in an election seen as one of the country's most contentious in recent years. President Umaro Sissoco Embalo seeks a second term in a nation long marked by coups, facing a close race against Fernando Diaz da Costa, a candidate backed by former Prime Minister Domingos Simoes Pereira. A candidate needs more than 50% of the vote to avoid a runoff. Embalo voted in Gabu urging calm participation, while Diaz da Costa accused him of high-handed tactics and warned against suppression of supporters. Nearly half of the 2.2 million population is registered to vote. The main opposition party was barred from contesting, fueling tensions alongside disputes over Embalo's term duration and the dissolution of parliament in 2023. Analysts warn that the broader challenge will be restoring stability and institutional safeguards. Campaign rhetoric featured accusations of hate speech, corruption, and murder. Embalo campaigned on infrastructure development, while Diaz promised stability, freedoms, and security. Some voters expressed hope for peace and improved living conditions as uncertainty shapes the electoral environment. Moving on. Gambia has confirmed it is temporarily hosting Cameroonian opposition figure Issa Shiroma Bakari on humanitarian grounds after Cameroon's disputed presidential election sparked deadly protests. Incumbent Paul Biya, aged 92 and the world's oldest head of state, was declared winner with 53.66% against Shiroma's 35.19%. Protests erupted before results were announced as early tallies pointed to an eighth term for Biya. UN sources reported that security forces killed 48 civilians during the unrest, with Shiroma's whereabouts unknown for weeks. Gambia's information ministry said it is sheltering him to ensure safety while working with regional partners, including Nigeria, to support a negotiated resolution. The government emphasized that its territory will not be used for subversive activity. The opposition United Democratic Party criticized the lack of transparency around Shiroma's arrival, but welcomed the humanitarian gesture. The election crisis has heightened scrutiny of Cameroon's political climate and the response of security forces. A criminal complaint has been filed by Nkosazana Zuma Ncube against her sister MP Duduzile Zuma Sambudla, alleging she helped recruit South African men to fight in the Russia-Ukraine war. The complaint claims Zuma Sambudla and two others deceived 17 men into believing they were traveling to Russia to train as bodyguards for the Umkhonto weSizwe party. Police have confirmed an investigation, while Zuma Sambudla has not responded. South African authorities previously reported distress calls from citizens who had joined mercenary forces under promises of lucrative pay. High unemployment rates are believed to heighten vulnerability to such schemes. Bloomberg recently reported similar allegations, including recruitment from Botswana. Zuma Sambudla is already on trial over terrorism-related charges linked to the deadly July 2021 arrest following former President Jacob Zuma's arrest. She denies wrongdoing, calling the charges politically motivated. The new allegations add pressure as legal scrutiny intensifies around the MP's political activities and public influence. Those have been our top stories on Africa Good Morning. Shortly, we'll be joined by Talent Gore as she delivers the Zimbabwe report. But first, the weather.
Life is unpredictable, and one needs to be protected against any eventuality. Get Santam legal access from as little as $50 Namibian a month for when you find yourself in need of legal representation due to civil cases, criminal prosecution, and family matters such as divorce, child maintenance, and custody. It also covers labor disputes, disciplinary hearings, and unfair dismissal or retrenchment. With Santam Legal Access, you'll receive free legal advice on almost every legal aspect, whether the specific matter is covered by your policy or not. For true peace of mind and legal protection when you need it most, call us on 061 292 8000. Santam. This is freedom.
time for us to talk to Talent Gore as she joins us from Zimbabwe to deliver the Zimbabwe report. Talent Wamkase.
Mamkase Africa.
Tamuka Hedu. Now, over the last couple of years, Zimbabwe has been lauded for its robust response to the HIV pandemic. Now, Zimbabwe has now approved the breakthrough HIV prevention drug, and this was in a record 23 days, Talent.
Yes, Zimbabwe has fast-tracked the approval of the new long-acting HIV prevention drug, Sapavir, clearing the injection in just 20. Well, this was said by the Medicines Control Authority of Zimbabwe, which is a twice pre-exposure prophylaxis option, is considered through in the global HIV. The Medicines Control Authority of Zimbabwe said the application submitted by the United States Gilead Sciences on October 9 underwent an expedited but rigorous review because of its significant public health importance. As Director General they have demonstrated the regulator's commitment to medicines. The drug is recommended for HIV negative and adults. This 5K is administered every 6 months following a short initiation phase. It must be used alongside safer sex practices such as condom use and behavioral risk reduction measures. Zimbabwe's approval comes as the United States government and the Gilead Sciences began rolling out the drug in African countries, with the first shipments delivered last week to Eswatini and Zambia. Each country has received about 500 starter doses, and the rollout is viewed as a turning point in access to long-acting HIV prevention in sub-Saharan Africa, which accounts for nearly 2/3 of all people living with HIV globally. So this is quite a milestone for Zimbabweans, and the National AIDS Council CEO said this injection is going to be first given to key populations in Zimbabwe as they begin rolling out the medicine. So this is quite a milestone, especially in the against HIV.
All right, Talent, moving on to your next story. The University of Zimbabwe is appealing for more cadaver donations.
Yes, Zimbabwe's Department of Biomedical Sciences Anatomy Unit has appealed to citizens to consider donating their bodies to medicine science, saying a shortage of donations is hampering of training for future health professionals. Body donations are critical for teaching anatomy, the foundation of all medical education, yet the university continues to face serious shortages, even as enrollment in health-related programs grow. Speaking at the funeral of Miss Rosalia Chigariro, the first Black Zimbabwean woman to donate her body to science, Mystica Vura, the chief technician in the Department of Anatomy, said practical exposure to human anatomy was indispensable to the training of doctors, nurses, and other medical practitioners. He said that without it be difficult for students to gain the full appreciation of human structure and functions, something no textbook or computer models can replace. He also encouraged open donating, saying awareness and education were key to changing perception and increasing participation. He said there was need to start these conversations within the Black community, within the Zimbabwean community early. And you also indicated that when families understand the value of this act, they can make informed, compassionate decisions. And Ms. Chigariro's example shows that it is important to honor both culture and science. So the university is actually calling for more donations of caviar. They are saying that if the university is facing a shortage when it comes to borders that they can actually use for their education. So they are now calling for Zimbabwean families, for African families rather, to actually participate and make informed decisions when it comes to donating the bodies of their deceased to science, to these universities, which actually teach medicine, because it is good for their for actually teaching those who are within the profession.
All right, Talent. On the backdrop of regional protests against gender-based violence, notably the one on Friday, which was the women's shutdown, one of the Zimbabwean ministers has said that technology fuels GBV.
Yes, the Deputy Minister in the Women Affairs Ministry said that new technologies that are being developed across the world have created new pathways for gender-based violence. Speaking during the launch of the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence in Harare, Women Affairs Minister said digital exploitation, cyber stalking, harassment, and anonymous threats were increasingly used to harm and silence women and girls. The 16 days of activism against gender-based violence is a global campaign that runs each year from November 25 to 10 December, and addressing delegates. The minister said that new technologies which are being developed worldwide are actually fueling gender-based violence, because you find out that on these different social media networks, people are being harassed, they are being cyberbullied, especially on social media, especially on Twitter. If you go on the Zimbabwean Twitter, you find out that most young girls and women, they are being cyberbullied by men on those sites. You find out that an argument, which is actually constructive, if a man feels that he has been challenged or that in that argument, they then resort to actually start insulting the girls that they will be debating with. So the minister said that more laws should be put in place to ensure that women and girls are not cyber bullied on these social networks. But you also find out that in Zimbabwe we have a law which actually says that if one is cyberbullied, they have the right to actually go and that person, and that person will actually be arrested, and he or she will actually go before the magistrate courts, and the matter will be dealt there. So now more laws are actually being called for to ensure that more girls and women, and we also find out that men are also being they're also being bullied on these social media networks. So more has to be done. This was said by the minister, who said that more needs to be done to ensure that no one is bullied on these social media networks.
Yeah. Thank you for that update, Talent. Now, in your last story, Zimbabwe has lifted import restrictions on cement as the prices shoot up.
Yes, for the past couple of months, we find out that in Zimbabwe, there is no cement. Rather, it is there, but it is quite expensive now because there is a shortage. So the Zimbabwean government had banned the importation of cement. They had said that since we have companies which are producing cement, it was high time that we ban the importation. But right now, as the country is facing a shortage, the government has actually lifted that ban, and now people are now allowed to import cement from elsewhere, given that right now the country is facing a shortage. Given the shortage that is within the country, you'll find out that a bag of cement is now costing approximately 16, 17, 18 United States dollars, whereas before there was a shortage, it was costing around $10, $11. So right now there has been a shortage, and the government has actually lifted the ban on the importation of cement to try and ensure that there is a balance, to try and ensure that there is competition. Those companies which are producing, they can at least lower their prices, and it will be a win-win for everyone. So as of now, the government has actually lifted the importation ban on cement.
Thank you very much, Talent, for delivering the Zimbabwe report as only you can.
You're welcome very much for having me.
It's always good having you on Africa Good Morning. Shortly, we'll get into our economic news. The European Investment Bank has announced that it is pledging more than 2 billion euros in financing for renewable energy projects across the African continent over the next 2 years. According to the bank, the funding will support the development of hydroelectric, solar and wind power plants, alongside the expansion and upgrading of transmission and distribution facilities that are essential for delivering electricity to growing populations and industrial areas. The bank noted in its statement that the projects will be backed by guarantees from European Commission, reinforcing efforts to scale up energy access and reliability across Africa. Let's have a look at the economic indicators before we come back to say goodbye. Thank you for joining us on Africa Good Morning. Let's have a look at the highlights from the broadcast. Namibia to elect regional and local authority councillors on 26 November. CNN probe exposes deadly post-election crackdown in Tanzania. Guinea-Bissau vote count begins as Embalo seeks second term. European Investment Bank unveils €2 billion push for Africa's renewables. DSTV 2 at 5, GoTV 25, oneup2.com, ntvafrica.my.na and NTV Africa on YouTube are precisely where you can find us. That's Africa with a K. Thank you very much for joining us. Tomorrow, Rodisang Mohojwe delivers the Botswana report while we still delve into the top headlines stemming from the African continent. My name is Ashwin Betty. This has been Africa Good Morning. Swera Zwakanaka.